Hey, welcome everyone to our 10-minute touch point today, 14 days to thrive in uncertain times. And really, I do mean that. I find that when we strip away everything that we're used to, every comfort that we've had, every thing that is our go-to way of living, and we kind of rebuild, it is a chance to reprioritize and get in touch with some of the things that maybe have been missing from your life, but you didn't realize they were. It's a chance to get in touch with our families in a new way. It's a chance to get in touch with our own rhythms in a new way, and maybe really to step it up. I feel like that's kind of the word for me of this season, even just if it's the next 14 days, if it's the next 4 months. As we feel all of these things that are around us, and as we experience, even if you're not an anxious person, you can't help but be swept up in the sort of anxiety. And whether you're a person who doesn't struggle with fear or uncertainty, you just can't help but get swept up in it. And there is nothing that reminds us of where we actually find our security, like getting all that security pulled out from underneath of us. So if you're an extrovert who leans on other people to fill you up, you're recognizing your lack right now. If you're a person who finds great power and worth in your position and in your job, perhaps that feels uncertain right now. All these things that we can so easily build our life on are kind of being pulled out from underneath of us. Maybe there's been things that you've been ignoring or avoiding in your family or in your marriage or your parenting that are just in full relief right now. So really, I think that in the midst of all of this, we have an opportunity to level up as human beings, just to step up into our strength and our resilience in a new way. So, how did it go yesterday? For those of you who are like the faithful tribe, you're here every single day. When you took a Sabbath rest from feeling bad, that was yesterday's video. If you haven't watched it, you can watch back on YouTube. I just challenged you to take yesterday as a Sabbath rest from feeling bad. Just don't judge yourself. Don't condemn yourself. Don't carry negativity. Every time you feel or sort of have those thoughts, just say, you know what, we'll think about that tomorrow. We'll think about that tomorrow. I don't know about you, but I had it come up less than the first time I tried this exercise, but multiple times where I was like, no, I'm going to do what feels great today and I'm going to relax. What's interesting when you let your mind come out of that negativity and you just give yourself a break for a day, maybe you ate a little more or slept a little more or whatever than you would have normally. But when you just let yourself relax like that, you actually create a space bar where you can then step into the next week much stronger because of that. I mean, that is the design of Sabbath is for human beings. Like we're the people who need Sabbath. We're not doing it like to make God feel good about himself. We're doing it because God knew that as human beings, we needed that space. And I know some of you are home with little kids. Every day feels like the same, but there is a mindset shift that you can take for 24 hours. And I hope that you were able to take that Sabbath rest from feeling bad and see and be curious about what happens inside of your mind when you are more aware of your thoughts and your feelings and you actually train your mind to put them down. So Sandra said, I had one issue and it was not in my control. That's understandable. Don't worry. I think we'll have more opportunities for this. Melissa said, I didn't catch them all, but I did recognize some of them. That's really good. Just bringing some of our negativity into awareness allows us to say, not today, not today. We're not going to do that. So now that we're back kind of leaning into the next week, what I want to talk about today is how you actually can step into your week with intention. Some of us are very used to this, are very normal. We work from home or we've already kind of been through this, but none of us have ever experienced what we're experiencing right now. So some dynamic has changed. Your children are home, you're working from home, and so is your husband. You've been alone for several days in a row because you live alone or you're a young professional and you're just feeling like anxious and sort of like, it's interesting how it can kind of make you feel sick a little bit when you lose all your structure. So I just want to invite you guys into the way that I set up my week and how I'm doing that right now in this season. I actually prefer to do this on Friday afternoons before the next week comes, but let's just go with like we're doing it today because things keep shifting and changing, but you're looking at your week and you're moving forward into your week. So how do you do that with intention? The first thing I want to say, I was talking with a good friend of mine yesterday or earlier today, and we were talking about this. If you are home with your children, no matter how old they are, They are going to test your boundaries. That's just what they're going to do. They're going to look for the limits. They're going to look to say, what is it going to be like to be here? Even if they are your own children and you're like, I birthed you, you can listen to what I say. They've never lived in this normal. You've never lived in this normal. They feel anxiety. You feel anxiety. They're going to push. So you've got to decide, as the leader of your home, as the person who sets the temperature, as the adult in your home. First of all, this is also for you if you live alone. You have to decide for yourself what you are valuing in this season, just for the next week. Everything's shifting so fast. I think it's good to just take it 1 week at a time. And you've got to ask, what am I valuing in this season? And I'm going to share some things that I think are valuable for everyone, no matter if you're an introvert, an extrovert, if you like structure or you don't. These are things that are valuable. Okay, you ready? First one. Get up at the same time during the week. Like, just get everybody up out of bed. There is something about like sleeping in again and again. And I know I have teenagers. I understand it. And guess what? The later they sleep in, the later bedtime becomes, just creeps up. And that's fine. On the weekends, I'm like, do whatever you want. But during the week, we have a relaxed schedule, but we do all get up out of bed. And guess what? You're in charge. So get them out of bed. You can do it. Just be positive about it. Tell them in advance, like, this is what we're going to do. This is what time we're going to get up. I think getting out of bed, you guys have heard me, get dressed on during the week, put your work clothes on, like get ready for the day. That's an intention we have. Another one that I think is huge for all of us, adults included, is to set media time. Don't just be like on all the time. Like, I'm just on the internet, or the TV's just on all day, or I'm just on Facebook all day, or I'm just on Instagram all day. Like, just set the times for media. I like to block out our schedule in 30 to 90 minute blocks, especially if you have young children. They are craving structure. They're looking for you to show them this is what the day is going to look like. Even if you don't adhere exactly to it, they feel less anxious when they know there's a structure. And guess what? All of us feel less anxious when we know there's a structure. Even if you're a creative, even if you're like way out there on the spontaneous scale, we crave structure. And so taking an hour today or 30 minutes today to say, what is this week going to look like? What am I going to accomplish this week? And actually scheduling yourself on your calendar. Here's the 4 categories that I think in. I know I'm going to be out of time of our 10 minutes in just a minute, but here we go. And then I'll read all y'all's comments and answer any questions. I think in categories of body, mind, spirit, and others. And that's the challenges I've been giving you every day, have been body, mind, spirit, and others. So what am I going to do with those 4 sort of essential human growth like opportunities that actually create a full life, a full and free life? How am I going to challenge my mind? Some of you are working, figuring out how that work is going to work, explaining it to your children, communicating, even if they're in college, communicating about, this is when I'm going to be working and I'm not going to be, this is what it's going to look like, and this is what you can do with your time. So your mind, your body, like how many times do you want to work out this week? Do you want to try to take a walk every day this week? What is it that you're going to do to move your body? We talked about that because it actually helps you be awake when you're awake and asleep when you're asleep. If you're struggling with sleep, activating your mind, getting in the sunshine, moving your body during the day, especially particularly morning sun, seeing the morning sun before noon will help your circadian rhythms to actually stay connected so that you can actually feel more healthy in this time than perhaps during a really busy life. So mind, body, emotions, what are you doing to connect? What is it that you need? And some of you, even you introverts out there, you're realizing, holy cow, I need some people. And so what is that going to look like? Don't wait for others to be in charge of that for you. You can be in charge of that for you. Reach out, connect with other people, set up a Zoom date or a FaceTime date, or while we're not on shutdown, a walk outside, whatever. Do the things that your heart needs. Think emotionally about what you need. And I want you to think back to your last week and be like, how did I do last week? Once you've given yourself a rest, like we did yesterday, you have a clearer mind to evaluate yourself without condemnation, just with some curiosity and like, okay, how did it go last week? Where did I struggle? Like for me, I went like this. I took a total nosedive when I watched 4 hours of TV in a row. It's fine. I'm not it's not a big deal. I'm just like, that maybe didn't create the best me. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that again this week. Like, what do I need to do? And I realized that there were times where I disconnected from my kids for hours and hours. And again, it's fine. But when I'm looking ahead, I'm like, I think I could do better next week with that. What do I need to do to get myself back on track? So my challenge for you today as we wrap up is to take 30 minutes to an hour to look ahead at your schedule. Don't just wait for it to happen. I know there's a lot of things we can't control right now, but something you can control is setting your intentions for the week. Think about mind, body, spirit, others. What do you want to put on your calendar for this week? Maybe just 2 or 3 tasks a day. On Monday, these are the things I'm going to do. On Tuesday, on Wednesday, share it with your children. Talk about it in your home. Set up some of those values that you feel for the week just for the next 5 days. Don't have to go beyond that. And then kind of evaluate and see how it went. And we will be together again. So thanks you guys for coming. I'm going to check your comments in just a second, and I'll see you tomorrow at 12.